Well, motherfucks. You know what I'm saying? Do we have something to talk about today or don't we? Raw review, bitches, deal with it. Now, I watched Raw. I was actually looking forward to it because a lot happened on Hell in a Cell, or as we say in Portuguese, Hell in a Cell. Yeah. But I didn't really enjoy this episode of Raw. I mean, parts of it I did like, but overall, conceptually, I thought it was a very, very poorly executed Raw. Now, it started off with Drew McIntyre and The Miz having a segment, right? I mean, I don't know how I felt about all this. Um, Drew McIntyre lost, and he needs to like kind of take that what's it called, the fact that he lost, and turn it into something unique for me to be interested. But instead of doing that, he just quoted Rocky Balboa, a person who is greater than him by a million times, and he gave that same old like, it doesn't matter how many times you fall, it's how many times you get up that counts. Shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've heard that a million times. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you want anything for yourself? Do you want to be memorable at all? Because all I hear is Drew McIntyre got fired back in the day, and he knew he was going to come back one day, and he worked hard to do it. Did he? Did he actually work hard? Or did he just take some roids? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know. Allegedly, that's what I'm hearing. And like just gain some muscle and then just come back the same ass Drew McIntyre. You know what I'm saying? There is an element that needs to be addressed here, and that is this: that Drew McIntyre was pushed to the moon back in the day, and he ended up on 3MB. Same thing with Jinder Mahal, who I like very much. So I'm not gonna like pick favorites here. I'm just gonna say like there's a reason why these guys ended up on 3MB. Maybe it's because they're not that good. And maybe when they went to quote unquote reinvent themselves, they didn't really reinvent anything. All they did was just gain some muscle. I'm saying? Drew McIntyre left for a couple of years, hit the gym a couple of times, I'm saying? Gained like 15, 20 pounds of muscle, and now he's back. All of a sudden, he's a main eventer, beating up Brock Lesnar. You know what I'm saying? Is that all it takes? Because insofar as his character goes, he's reinvented nothing. You know what I'm saying? Nothing new exists for this Drew McIntyre. He said the cheesiest thing ever. He quoted Rocky Balboa. And even if he didn't quote Rocky Balboa, the premise behind the quote, behind the sentiment, is ridiculous. It's like it's what every loser says. It doesn't matter that I lost. I'll keep trying. Like, shut the fuck up. I want to hear something more interesting than that. Like it feels like every time like a face loses a title or a big time match, they come out and they do that, right? Like John Cena, does it all the time. Only thing I can do is move forward. All right, we get it. And then all the heel does is get angry and then beat up some jobber the next night on Raw, and then like continue their lives, right? Like wrestling needs to move away from some of these tropes. That's going to be another video. Tropes in wrestling that need to be abandoned. You know what I'm saying? Right up there with that Pat McAfee video coming soon, motherfuckers. So I didn't like this at all. Miz came out, right? It reminded me how good Miz is. I was watching wrestling with my girlfriend. I mean, only the beginning, because then I realized I don't want to put her through that. Let's be real, right? But at the beginning, and I told her about the Miz and how the Miz was like a reality TV superstar, right? Who basically nobody thought would ever make anything out of themselves, right? And that's the thing. A lot of people don't remember this about the Miz, but the Miz was the butt of every joke. You know what I'm saying? The same way that Daniel Bryan, and Kevin Owens get this huge boost in like they're not really that good, but people pretend they're great because they were in the Indies. Miz got the opposite. He never spent one day in the Indies, right? He was not supposed to be a wrestler at all. And people were like, this guy sucks. They booed him off TV, right? And if anyone knows, you'd know that Miz has that great promo where he talks about how like JBL would bully him and people would like treat him like shit, right? Just because he was new, right? And look at what he's done for himself. You know what I'm saying? Look at what he's done for himself. And that's pretty good in my opinion, right? So he comes out, and in my opinion, he pretty much buries Drew McIntyre. Like, Miz and Morrison are better than Drew McIntyre. So there's really no point in even continuing to talk about this anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, McIntyre, he's not horrible, but he comes off as a goof. When he's on the mic, he just comes off as a goofball. Like, he's like doing all these inappropriate things, like, oh, I'm going to kick your arse. I'm going to beat you, right? And I'm just like, dude, like, you just lost the title. Like, you shouldn't be making, like, these little glibby jokes. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely not, motherfuckers. Then we had Jeff Hardy versus AJ Styles. The storyline keeps being AJ Styles' bodyguard, Jordan, whatever, Obegamagadim, whatever his name is, right? I mean, I'm already tired of this guy. I'm already bored of him, right? Jeff Hardy won relatively clean. I mean, Jordan was on the outside, which caused like just a general distraction. But he basically like clotheslined Jeff Hardy into the ring. and then hit the phenomenal forearm and pinned him 1, 2, 3 in order to join the Survivor Series match. Now, I don't really see why people are competing to join the Survivor Series match, right? From a kayfabe perspective, why would you want to participate in a match like that, right? You would not want to do that. Let's say that, I don't know, soon there's some sort of tournament, right? Or some sort of number one contenders match, right? When you want to be fresh to compete in that, from a kayfabe perspective, like nobody should be jumping at the opportunity to represent SmackDown or Raw at Survivor Series. NXT, on the other hand, it makes sense. It's like, all right, you want to represent NXT because NXT is like the jobber show, right? In fact, they're such a jobber show that they're not even part of this year's Survivor Series, which is embarrassing because last year they won. Like they won like 3 matches to like 1-0 or something like that. Like they won like the majority of their matches. So it's like you'd expect them to be involved just under the premise that like they won the matches. You know what I mean? Like they won the matches. They're like the superior brand. And people have been waiting a year to like redetermine who the superior brand is. But if like SmackDown or Raw wins, who cares, right? It doesn't really matter, does it, motherfucks? Because NXT beat them both last year. So that's what you gotta say about that. But Survivor Series is one of my favorite events, so I am looking forward to it. It is what it is. Elias attacked Jeff Hardy. No one really cares. I'm already sick of Elias. Maybe they can put him into a tag team with Jordan, like Goblin Face, whatever his name is, Almost Goblin. I don't even know his name. Put him in a tag team with him, just since I'm disinterested in both of them. Then we had Lucha House Party versus Gulak and Tozawa. This wasn't really a match. Lucha House Party won, I think, but the whole point of this match was R-Truth came out and they had like moments with R-Truth. No one really cares. I like R-Truth, but it is what it is. Then we had Elias versus Keith Lee. I believe, I remember now what happened. Keith Lee and Elias had a match. Like it was relatively competitive. The whole point was that like Elias might actually have a chance. Jeff Hardy's music hits. Keith Lee throws him off the turnbuckle, hits the Spirit Bomb 1, 2, 3. No one cares. And then Hardy hit Elias with a guitar. Like every Elias feud is just people hitting each other with guitars. Like this guy, I don't even know what to say about that. You know what I'm saying? Keith Lee is still upset at Braun Strowman. Who the hell cares? Then we had something that I really looked forward to. Like as soon as they announced it, I was like, this is going to be sick. The Hurt Business versus Retribution in an elimination match, right? In like a Survivor Series style elimination match. It'd be good to see this at Survivor Series just because like I like the Hurt Business a lot, and there's actually a storyline involved here. This match was shit. Now, it wasn't shit because the match was poor or bad or anything like that. It was just shit because once again, Retribution comes out looking like the worst jobbers you've ever seen in your life. Now, here's the thing, as this match started, I kind of fantasy booked it in my head as to how I would book it, right? So that like Retribution comes off looking strong. Because if you remember last week's video, I said specifically, Retribution needs a W. They need like, and when I say W, I don't mean to win a match. They need to destroy the Hurt Business in one episode of Raw to make their point, right? But instead what happened was the opposite of that. But the way that I would have booked it would have been like this, right? MVP gets eliminated first because he's the guy that like, he's kind of like their mouthpiece. It's okay, right? Then Bobby Lashley, actually, you know what? I thought what I had fantasy booked in my head, I thought it was actually happening, right? I would say Lashley gets eliminated in a way where he doesn't, lose any like credibility. So like a count out, like the classic big guy elimination, like when Sheamus and Big Show eliminated each other, like, you know what I mean? Like that kind of shit. It's like, okay, you don't want to put any one of these guys like on their back. So it is what it is, right? And then I figured the last 2 people remaining would be like a combination of Mustafa Ali and one of the jobbers, probably Dominic Dijakovic, right? Or maybe Mace, whatever, Dio Madden, right? And the last 2 people on team, Team MVP would be Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin, or Cedric Alexander and MVP, depending on how they booked it, right? And the way it would happen would be like this, right? Shelton Benjamin, like the other guy, gets pinned, and then it's 2-on-1. Cedric Alexander versus Ali and one of his lackeys, right? Cedric Alexander can pin the lackey, and as he's done pinning the lackey, Ali can hit him with like, I don't know, an X Factor, right? Then hit the reverse 450 and win the match, right? That's what I thought should happen, right? Ali is the last man standing, right? But it's like competitive in its own way. But here's what happened instead, motherfucks. First off, MVP gets eliminated. How does he get eliminated? Oh, I'll tell you how. Mia Yim, who is now called Reckoning, she pretends she's having like a seizure of some sorts right? And pretending that there's like bugs on her skin. She's like, get them off, get them off. She just jumps in the ring. Everyone's looking at her like she's retarded, right? I actually hear someone say, what's going on, Mia? What's wrong, Mia, right? And like, I don't know why I heard that, but it's like, dude, who's saying that? You know, I mean, I'm assuming that we're not supposed to think that this is Mia Yim, right? Like, we're supposed to think this is someone new, right? Or at least distance that person from Mia Yim as a character, right? But she has a seizure pretending that bugs are crawling on her skin, which confuses MVP. This allows Slapjack, remember him, motherfuckers, to do a roll-up on MVP and pin him. Now, it's 4-on-3, so you're thinking to yourself, okay, good. You know, Retribution's actually going to have a chance. Now, I like Hurt Business more, but I would have wanted Retribution to win this match just to make it even a little bit, you know, to give them some credibility, right? Then what happens is Dijakovic comes in. No. Slapjack is still there. He wrestles Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley eventually hits him with like an awesome-looking spear, pins him 1, 2, 3, no problem, right? Then Dijakovic and Lashley wrestle each other to a double countout. So now it's Shelton Benjamin, right? And Cedric Alexander. Shelton Benjamin, who hasn't won a match in Raw in like 20 years or whatever, right? Like a real match, not a 24/7 title match, versus Ali and Mace. Now I'm thinking to myself, all right, Dijakovic looked kind of strong. I mean, especially considering he's part of Retribution. He looked kind of strong in the context of, all right, he eliminated, one way or another, Bobby Lashley, right? So now it's like Mace's turn to look strong. I'm thinking to myself, all right, it's Mace, and he's wrestling Cedric Alexander. I figured he would probably pin, like I said earlier, that he would pin Shelton Benjamin or something. But what happened was, he gets Cedric Alexander by the throat. Cedric Alexander counters. Then he runs towards Cedric Alexander, and Alexander counters again. So Alexander counters like 5 moves in a row of this idiot, of this bumbling moron, right? And then gets a tag, right? Blind tag Shelton Benjamin. The idiot doesn't see this. He Irish whips Cedric Alexander, who does that little handstand springboard kick thing that he does, right? He does that. He hits him right in the face. The guy turns around. Shelton Benjamin hits the pay dirt, pins him 1, 2, 3. Now it's Shelton and Cedric versus Ali, right? Ali comes in. Shelton Benjamin is manhandling him, right? He tags in Cedric Alexander, who continues to manhandle him, right? Ali's just getting his ass beat. He then hits Cedric Alexander on the chair and disqualifies himself. The two men that were standing were Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. Now, as soon as I saw this, I'm like, all right, let's get this straight. Slapjack pins MVP after Mia Yim basically fakes having a psychotic breakdown, right? So that's a screwy pin. You know, like it wasn't clean. Like Slapjack didn't earn anything from this. He beat him after this ridiculous over-the-top distraction. So that's the only pin they got, right? Then Dijakovic did absolutely nothing, but at least he took out Lashley. Mace has no reason to be in this group anymore. He can't even put out Cedric Alexander, right? He didn't pin anyone. He just got pinned. That was his whole point. He just got pinned. And then Mustafa Ali did nothing either. Retribution did not have one legitimate elimination in this match. What I mean by that is they didn't have one guy do a finishing move and pin the opponent. All their eliminations were either like DQs or horseshit, screwy finish eliminations. This was inexcusable, man. Like, I'm not afraid of Retribution anymore. They have been booked so poorly that I honestly feel like if I went on Raw and I called all 4 of them out, I could beat all 4 of them up in real life. That's how poorly they've been booked. You know, there's nobody in the roster shouldn't be afraid at all for Retribution. Like Tozawa should come out, challenge Mace, and beat him one-on-one, no problem at this point. Like, if the next WWE 2K game came out, these guys would all be like 65s. All of them, 65s. They're just jobbers, man. Nothing good has come of this. This is embarrassing. You know what I mean? And I'm sick and tired of Mustafa Ali's gimmick already. Oh, I'm a hacker. Oh, I could ruin anyone's life. How about you win a match? You know what I'm saying? How about you win a match? Because nobody gives a shit about that. How about win a match, right? And all of a sudden now, since last week he pronounced his name as Mustafa Ali, now he's Mustafa Ali, not Mustafa Ali. Now, I don't give a fuck how he pronounces it. He's Mustafa Ali on this channel, motherfucks, because there's plenty of people that I know whose name is Mustafa, and that's how they pronounce it. Not Mustafa Ali. Shut the fuck up. Ali fucking sucks. This guy's garbage. They should just send him to Saudi Arabia and bring in Mansoor, who's at least good. He's at least athletic, you know what I'm saying? Complete garbage. Nothing good. There was like nothing good in this match, except for the fact that the Hurt Business gets put over once again. Like, at this point, I think the Hurt Business has just beaten them every week. They've beaten the shit out of Retribution every week. Retribution should go home. You know, go on 205 Live, terrorize them. Then we had Miz versus Drew, completely irrelevant. It doesn't matter. Miz loses the match after taking a Claymore to the face, but who cares? Miz is the Money in the Bank ladder match winner, I guess you could say, not even, because Otis won the actual match. But Miz is the current holder of the Money in the Bank, which means that it's okay for him to get jobbed out because that's just what happens with Money in the Bank people, which I think is stupid. The two best booked Money in the Bank people ever have been Edge in the first one ever and Seth Rollins. And both of them, and The Miz as well. The Miz during his first run. And all of them were being booked strong. Everyone else gets booked weak and nobody cares. You know what I'm saying? So there you have it. Nobody cares at all. Who cares? Money in the Bank is what Money in the Bank is. Then we had a Fatal 4-Way. I think the Fatal 4-Way was before, though. I don't remember. But the Fatal 4-Way, Nikki Cross, Lacey Evans, Lana, and Peyton Royce, the winner, joins, the Women's Survivor Series match. They already announced Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose and Baszler and Nia Jax as the people who are going to be in the match, right? Lana wins. Complete garbage. Who cares? Lana gets a hug from Nia Jax, who instead picks her up, and Samoa drops her through the announce table for like the 15th week in a row. Who cares? You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Nobody cares. Matt Riddle versus Sheamus was actually a good match. I enjoyed this quite a bit. You know, they were doing like hard-hitting moves. Matt Riddle wasn't giving up. The tide of the match kind of turned when Matt Riddle hit the floating bro, or he went for the floating bro. Sheamus pulled up his knees, but it wasn't over immediately. But that was kind of like what turned the tide. Like at that point, the match changed pace, and it was presented as if like Matt Riddle really is hurt and that he is going to lose this match. Eventually, Sheamus hits that bro kick. I'm pretty sure this was for the Survivor Series, like a spot in the Survivor Series match. So Sheamus is going to be there. I mean, Sheamus, honestly, he's one of the people that, like, over time, Sheamus has grown on me, right? He's got an interesting look. He's a strong, powerful guy, but also is, like, interesting, technically speaking. Like, Sheamus has good matches, you know what I'm saying? He has good matches with people like Matt Riddle, and he even has good matches with people like Big Show. So that was cool. Then we had a moment of bliss. Now, before we talk about the moment of bliss, earlier today we had another episode of the Firefly Funhouse. I remember when these things first started like a year and a half ago, and people were saying this is the best thing on Raw, and I used to think that everyone that thought that was a retarded human being. I still do, to be honest. I think this is garbage. The Firefly Funhouse is stupid. You know what I'm saying? It's not fun at all. It's dumb, right? So now Alexa Bliss is part of it. She poisons Ramblin' Rabbit. Like, does anyone, like, just listen to that sentence I just said. She poisons Ramblin' Rabbit, and everyone that's listening understands what I mean. Everybody knows who Ramblin' Rabbit is. There's a problem with that, motherfuckers. There's a problem with that. So Alexa Bliss pretty much alludes to the fact that Randy Orton completely cucked and humiliated Bray Wyatt a few years ago at WrestleMania when he burned down the Wyatt compound. He beat him at WrestleMania. He manipulated Luke Harper. He completely humiliated the entire character of Bray Wyatt. Like, the Bray Wyatt character should have ended at that point, and it kind of did. You know, he just then became like Matt Hardy's sidekick. You know what I'm saying? Randy Orton humiliated Bray Wyatt so much that he started losing to Matt Hardy and becoming the second guy in their tag team. You see what I'm saying? That's how good Randy Orton was during that feud, right? But now Bray Wyatt is still upset, you know? Randy Orton has no reason to be afraid of him. The entire point of Randy Orton infiltrating the Wyatt family was exactly that. That was the whole point. It was like, dude, I don't give a shit. You're weird, and I'm going to piss on your grave. Like, I'm going to Randy Orton you. I'm going to burn the house down. I don't care about Sister Abigail. So based on that, Randy Orton has no reason to be afraid of, the Fiend either. You know what I'm saying? By the way, does anyone remember when they were going to have the Demon Finn Balor versus Bray Wyatt as Sister Abigail? I mean, that's obviously what the Fiend is. He's just like that idea of Sister Abigail, you know, just inhabiting his spirit. It's the same thing, right? It's the same idea. But it is what it is. The Fiend sucks. Bray Wyatt sucks. They both appear. Not like Bray Wyatt appears dressed as the Mad Hatter, and Alexa Bliss is like Alice in Wonderland. The whole segment is garbage. It's like the fact that they've spent even $10 on that set angers me to no explanation. Like, the Bray Wyatt character is a failure. It's a failure, motherfuckers. So that failed completely. Later on, during a moment of bliss, Alexa Bliss is being strange. And Randy Orton is like, look, do you have anything to tell me about the Fiend? Like, is the Fiend going to come out? Drew McIntyre comes out. Fiend comes out. who the fuck cares? I don't understand the logic behind this. It doesn't matter. Randy Orton is going to face a real wrestler at Survivor Series called Roman Reigns in their intergender. You might as well, right? In their interbrand champion versus championship match, right? Roman Reigns has been doing good work, no doubt about it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people have been giving him praise. Now, I think he's been doing great, not because of this horseshit like tribal chief nonsense. Like I don't like it at all. He's been doing great just because he's been having good matches and his attitude shift and like his mannerisms follow the new character essentially. Paul Heyman adds absolutely nothing to him. Paul Heyman has almost never added anything to anyone. Paul Heyman sucks. He needs to be like fired completely. You know what I'm saying? He's just a leech. Like Brock Lesnar is great by himself, and people pretend Paul Heyman is great at promos. No, not really. He's great at announcing. He's more like an announcer. It's not great promos. The promos are always the same. It's all about Brock Lesnar did this and then a summary of what happened last week. Or what's going to happen next week with Brock Lesnar winning. He's always like, Brock Lesnar's going to win. He won last week. He's going to win next week. Fuck cares, you know? So there you have it. That went down. Roman Reigns did good. I'm happy that this horseshit feud with the Usos is done. A lot of people in my last video, I saw some comments. I didn't really like read them carefully yet, but like some people were like, yo, man, I have to disagree with you. You know, which is cool. We accept disagreements right here on the Hater channel. Subscribe right now. Yeah. But here's the thing. It's like the whole point I was making about Roman Reigns at Hell in a Cell is that the match was exactly the same as the first match with Jey Uso. You know, people are like, he stole the show. I mean, like, I don't see how it was any different than the match last month. It was the same exact match. Roman Reigns, like, the match is look, the matches are like plays, right? There's Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. Act 1 was the same. They're wrestling, they're back and forthing, right? Act 2 is like the moment where things turn around. So Roman Reigns doing the low blow in the first match or getting the guillotine choke in this match. Like, at that point, you already know who's going to win. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, obviously, you already knew who was going to win no matter what. But at that point, even if you didn't in the beginning, it's clear that Roman Reigns is going to win. Then Act 3 is like the horseshit act, right? Where people are like, they stole the show. And I'm just like, dude, I understand that people seem to like this. But to me, this is on the same vein as cinematic wrestling. It's like I have to take it a little bit seriously, right? A grown man crying in the middle of the ring during a match makes no sense. Like, I have to ask everyone, can you imagine The Rock or Stone Cold doing that? Absolutely not. Something like that can be reserved for extreme situations. Like a little bit of crying, like Shawn Michaels versus Ric Flair, right? Where Ric Flair is getting up and he's crying because he knows his career is about to come to an end, but he's doing it while fighting back. You know, he's not just sitting there crying like, oh, it's going to be over soon. He's getting up and he's like, come on, like he's defiantly saying, come on, like finish me. You know what I'm saying? And he's crying because his career is about to end. Shawn Michaels is crying because he's about to end the career of like the greatest wrestler ever, basically, right? So that's a moment that works and it's a great moment. This is not like that. This is like, come on, Us. Like, first of all, the way that the Usos speak and the frequency of the word Us leads me to believe that they actually speak like this in real life. Like, I can see these assholes hanging around. Come on, Us, let's get a burger. You know, shut the fuck up. Stop being weird. You know? So he beats the shit out of Jey Uso, and he's sitting down pretending to cry. And then Jey Uso comes out and does the same exact thing as last time's match. He says the exact same words. He's like, come on, Us. You're the tribal chief. Is that what you want? You've gone too far, Us. You've gone too far. And instead of throwing in a towel, since that's no longer an option, right? He just gets choked out, and the other guy says, I quit. Nothing better happened in this match than in the last match. You say, again, I'm not saying it was a horrible match. Like, Act 1 was pretty nice. Jey Uso can go. And you know what? I'm one of the people that's been saying it for years. You know, so when Daniel Bryan was like, oh, people are like, oh, Daniel Bryan's so great in the ring. And I'm like, what can Daniel Bryan do that Jey and Jimmy Uso can't do? Nothing. They have the same moves. They dive through the ropes. They do a top rope move. And they do, like, kicks. You know, that's it. That's their moveset. So I got nothing against the Usos or Roman Reigns for sure. I love Roman Reigns. He's probably my favorite wrestler right now. But the facts are what the facts are. Motherfucks means it. Nothing in this match was necessary. And to say that they stole the show, I mean, I guess they stole the show because the show wasn't that good. I mean, all things considered. I think that The Miz stole the show. I think The Miz, I think the highlight of Hell in a Cell was The Miz winning. That's the only thing that happened at Hell in a Cell that has any implications towards anything. Like The Miz, like it's an interesting point, you know? So that's what I gotta say about that. No hard feelings to anyone that might disagree. Obviously, I want everyone to enjoy wrestling. That's why we do this thing, motherfuckers. So that being said, I'll talk to you later. Next up, we're gonna do Pat McAfee video. But either before that or after that, I'm gonna do like a 10 wrestling tropes that need to end. You know, it's long overdue, that video. Just things that happen in wrestling that are stupid and need to stop. All right, what I'm saying?